In commemoration of the 2025 World Environment Day, the United Nations warns that plastic pollution now affects human health directly, showing up in human breast milk and devastates wildlife, contaminating soil, rivers and oceans. African leaders are joining the call. In Nigeria and beyond, experts urge adoption of circular economy strategies which focus on reusing and recycling plastics at every stage of the life cycle. And the African Development Bank highlights youth-led innovations like converting plastic waste to energy and eco-friendly packaging as critical to this shift. For Nigeria, the way forward lies in strengthening waste management systems, banning single-use plastics and empowering communities to embrace sustainable alternatives. For a conversation on the 2025 World Environment Day, and particularly on how to preserve Nigeria's shorelines and beaches, the founder and CEO of the Right on the Beach Community Conservation Alliance, Akintunde Disu, joins us. Good to have you with us.
It's a pleasure.
All right, let's start with Nigeria. How would you rate or assess current efforts towards managing non-biodegradable materials as we have it?
Well, my specialty is in plastic. And in plastic, I'd have to say we haven't done enough. But the Lagos State government is aware and they're trying to do a lot. And I really feel as if it's up to the people to do more, you know. I really believe in community, and it's such a powerful thing when you feel you're part of a community. Like, you know, when people drop stuff on the floor, what they're actually saying is you don't belong to that community. So we always try and get community into whatever we're doing and to use that to move these things forward. But Lagos State are doing, we as people of Lagos State, we're doing quite a lot, actually. And the Lagos State government is actually supporting us quite a lot, but we need a little bit of help, you know, to bring it all together.
When people look at the beach, they see recreation, they see a place where you get to relax. Although we know that when it comes to our beaches here in Nigeria, there's still a lot more we can do to keep it clean. What changed your perspective from, you know, seeing it as that place of recreation to a place where you can get, you know, a cleaner environment and a place where you can, you know, protect the environment?
Well, thanks for asking that, actually. It's a lovely question. Because what changed my objective was COVID. And I was at the beach for the lockdown, for the whole of the lockdown. And I'd always taken it for granted. And then a year after the lockdown, I was taking a walk along the beach. And you know, there were times, maybe like 8 years ago, 10 years ago, when I'd walk along the beach and I'd have to make a detour because there were so many birds, different species on the beach. And this time there was no bird. I walked the 13 kilometers from Ilashe to Takwa Bay and I couldn't see one bird or one crab. And I was just so scared for the future of this country because that spoke of a silent spring, which is the most scary thing you can think of as a human being, you know. And that's what started me on this journey.
Okay, let's talk about regulation. And I'm not just talking about the state, you know, from the state government perspective. Regulation towards proactiveness on waste recycling and, of course, plastic recycling as well. How proactive has Nigeria been from the federal point of view as well?
You guys are asking really great questions because, you know, we put out a publication called the Environmental Laws of Lagos State, the activist version, the environmentalist version of the, you know, of that. And in those laws, you see, our laws were created by our colonial masters, and they assumed we were a paradise. And so there are no laws and regulations. These are all new things that are coming in. Plastic is something quite recent, you know. So it is really important that we, as members of the community, understand that it is up to us to actually go to court, actually, to fight for the environment. And this is one of the things, I think in our 2023 session of our residency, we had Professor Achenua, the former Vice Chancellor of Lagos State, and she was the one who told us about this. And it's like, we have the power to create the laws because the laws are just not there right now.
Now, this year's theme is beating plastic waste. And, from statistics, we see that this is having a detrimental effect, especially on the food chain, going into human breast milk and, devastating wildlife, contaminating soil, rivers, and all of that. How bad is the situation, especially when you look at the threat that it creates in the Nigerian context?
Okay, let me put it this way. We create about 2 million kilograms of plastic every day in Lagos State.
And despite the ban on single-use plastic.
Yes. You can't be a modern society without plastic. Plastic is pervasive. We can't do without it. So what we're trying to do is say, just separate it at source. Take your plastic home, put it in the clear bags we're providing, bag it up, because if you do that, then it doesn't get into the waste stream. Right now, what we operate on is what is called world standard. And in the world standard, you just drop the plastic in the plastic containers and it gets put into the big lorries or what, and taken over and dealt with. But then in the world, this is why you always have to adapt for Nigeria when you're dealing with Nigeria. Because in the world standard, those lorries that come to pick up the plastic pick up only plastic. But in Nigeria, they pick up all waste. So what happens is that gets contaminated when it goes into that bin, and it doesn't get recycled. So what we're saying is, we'll give you the free bags if you're part of a community or something like that, so that we're not replicating the transportation costs. We'll give you the free bags.
By we, you mean right on the beach?
Right on the beach, yeah. We'll give, if you're a member of a community or block of flats, an estate, an office or so, and you get in touch with us, we'll give you free bags for the month of July only for you to experiment. Just put all your plastic there. Lagos State has everything sorted out. They know how they can do it. They know where the plastic recyclers are. They'll pick up the bags because it doesn't get contaminated, and then it can go to the recyclers, because we have recyclers that deal with every single thing. PET bottles, which, as we know, that problem has almost been totally sorted. You see the abokis picking it up from the gutters and everything. But we want to do the same now with all sorts of plastic, bags and everything. But to do that, we must ensure that they are not contaminated. And you, who is the first person to touch the plastic, has this great role of ensuring it doesn't get contaminated by sand before it gets into the waste stream. And
very, very good, Akintunde. There's a new development now, and unfortunately, we're not getting much comments on it. I know your specialty, as you've alluded to, is mainly when it comes to plastics and bottles and packs, as it were. But I'm talking about alternative energy here, and the waste being produced by alternative energies, whether it's solar panels, disused ones that have been, they're not being used again. We're talking about inverters, which relies on batteries as well. And these are, hardcore waste. So how proactive are we in tackling this new development? Because yes, alternative energy is the way to go now to shore up our shortfall in the conventional energy that we have. But unfortunately, you don't hear much comments about that. That's a new waste stream. Waste, being generated as well.
Well, we are actually not doing too badly on those, because, like if you go into Computer Village or anything, these people, they recycle everything. And once again, I don't know what to call them, but our bookies, and they're the God save. They're the most important part of this economy. They stop us from falling apart. And they pick these things up from the waste stream, and they understand the route to the market. So in this campaign, what we're trying to do is establish the routes to the market by giving it visibility, for every single type of plastic, so that everybody who's watching realizes that there's no such thing as plastic waste. Plastic isn't waste. If you treat it properly, it will get reused. And if it gets reused, just the way we're now, we're not spending dollars on bringing in petrol.
Yes.
We won't be spending dollars on bringing in plastic, to use to make nodules, to use to make plastic. And this is what it's all about. That's what the circular economy is about. Ensuring that these things that are not waste do not get put into the waste stream. The only thing that should go into your dustbin is things that have either been contaminated or live, like meat and stuff like that, because you can't turn them to compost. But you should really remove all your plastic, all your paper, all your glass, all electrical goods, and all vegetables and stuff like that should not go into your waste stream.
Okay, so we should separate them, put them in different...
Right on the Beach Community Conservation Alliance, your name includes the community. How central is the community in the work you do, and what challenges have you faced in enlightening the public in doing this job? Because of course you said you can't do it alone without the involvement and collaboration with the community.
So the community is at the heart. I started off wanting to help them because my two main problems were the plastic on the beach in my house in Ilashe and the children who were not going to school while my own children went to school and everything. And that's how I started. And I got in touch with Unilag and the youths, and I brought them all over for the first residency, and they gave us the data on the beach. We walked from Takwa to Ilashe. We recorded data every 100 meters and everything. And then we took this, and we knew there were 30, at that point, there were 30 tons of plastic bottles, PET bottles on the beach. It was an ocean of plastic. And we took this to the community, and we explained to them what we were trying to do. And they got on board. And within 3 years, we removed 30 tons of plastic from the beach. And we, almost no money changed hands. We gave people, we created a community to solve this problem, and we solved this problem. And now we want to try and do this in the city.
On a larger scale.
On a larger scale. Can we create a bigger community? Can we all come together and say, okay, let's try this, let's do this. I'll do this here, I'll do this here. And, it really is about community, and community is at the heart.
Indeed. Akintunde Disu, environment advocate, would like to thank you for those enlightening thoughts on the environment, and hopefully your message will get to those that actually need to get it done.
I trust the rise. Thank you.
Good to have you with us.